Load in. There it is. What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mood Lifters. I'm Tony, and I'm here with my boy Chris to talk
What's up,
about
guys?
fitness, mental health, and all that beautiful stuff. What's up, Chris?
What's up, T?
How you doing, dude?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. I've had a fun week. What about you?
It's been an eventful week for myself too. You know, it's one of those things that last week I was talking about how we were basically working on like time management and stuff. I've started to figure it out, but then there were some moments in time where I kind of lost that, especially if I didn't structure it on my calendar. So now I started putting stuff on a calendar and it's all organized, and I've been able to stay on the calendar, which is real good. So it's helped me do a lot of time management. It's helped me do a lot of brainstorming and thinking about the community, and just I'm pretty excited for what's to come.
See that's a great thing, man. I've always run into the issue where I try to schedule out my day, and then I put like too much stuff on my plate. You know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, I'm scheduling, we'll say 6 hours for work, and out of these 6 hours, I'm trying to do like these 5 things, but I get 3 or 4 of the things done, and then I don't feel accomplished, and so that's something I struggle with. But I want to get scheduling a little more as well. I think it's important, and it's good to have that work-life balance in there as well.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta, like with us, we have the autonomy. Like I was telling Grant last week, we have the autonomy on our schedule to just like we have free flow. We can work in the evenings if you want to. We work in the days if you want to some extent. Whereas he has to go from the entire shift driving around, doing the truck stuff. So it's a little bit more rigid compared to what we have. And when that flexibility comes in, sometimes that flexibility extends and then it becomes rigid. And it's like, dude, like this shouldn't be as time consuming as it actually is. And then you look and you're like, man, my phone's telling me I spent 7 hours of my time on this thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you want to do everything best for your customers and for the people you're working with and everything. So, it's like, it's hard to say, hey, person 1, I can't get to your stuff today because I've been focusing on persons 2, 3, and 4 today. You know what I mean? Then it's like, well, it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And so you feel that obligation. And it's really hard to separate that and say, okay, hey, look, I'm working from 9 to 2 or 3 or whatever, and that's my work time. If I can't get it done, I can't get it done. There's always tomorrow, and I need to step back to go to the gym or to go on a walk or clean the house and whatever else I have to do with my life. Otherwise, you end up sitting behind the computer, 10, 12 hours, and you're just like, I'm too tired to get anything else done. Your work ends up being sloppy. And
it's funny, like when you were talking about that too, I resonate with that a lot, because like for some people, their schedule, having that rigid schedule where it's like a 9 to 5, it works really well for them. Whereas others, it can get tricky because we want to get other things done in our day to day and things like that. And then like you were saying with clients, like you're focusing on one client specifically, and then it's like the other client needs some help with something. You're like, oh boy. And then you can't tell them, I'm working on so-and-so's account. They don't care because you have this relationship with them. They're like, we expect you to do good on the advertising side of things. So I found personally, I like to do like 1 hour things where it's like 1 hour of my brand, and there's like it's 45 minutes of straight my brand, and then 15 minutes of kind of like an unwinding period where it's like reviewing what I did, or just like doing some me time in between. It's like a 15-minute break before I get into the other job. And then if I have like gym in between, I'll get back into the same schedule like that. And that's been working really well for me personally. But it's starting to come together. But when you were talking about this, I was thinking about, I saw this thing, I forgot who was saying it, but the rapper Eminem.
Yeah.
I forgot who he was talking to, but they were in the studio. Damn, I wish I have to find that video clip and I'll send it to you. But like, he's like, Eminem treated rapping like his like 9 to 5. So he would clock in. He's like, all right, lunch break, lunch break. And then once like it hit 5 o'clock, he's like, I'm out, peace. And I think it was Snoop Dogg, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was talking to Snoop Dogg. And
because Snoop Dogg would roll in at like 7 o'clock at night and be like, yo, Em, where you at, man?
They're like grind mode, and Eminem's like, I'm good. Like I did my shit for the day. I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, I respect him for that, because he has that flow, it's something that works for him. So
I was actually talking with someone on on time management, and they recommended the Pomodoro technique. It's
Yeah.
Pomodoro, and I'd never heard of this before. But basically, what it is break up every single task you have into a 25-minute segment. So the idea is there's 5 steps. Step 1 is pick a task. Step 2 is work on that task like hardcore for 25 minutes. Step 3 is work for that task. Step 4 is take a 5-minute break. And then every time you do 4 of these, take a 15 to 30-minute break. So the idea is for every 100 minutes or so that you go, take a 30-minute break, but at the same time, work for 25 minutes, take 5 minutes just to walk around your room, stretch, get up, and then come back for 25 because your focus is refreshed, kind of thing. And the idea behind it was like they took like grade school kids and they're like, hey, each of you is going to have to do this test. They're like, they did a study group. And they're like, this group of kids, you have 1 hour to do the test, and go. And then, they just did the test like normal. And the other group of kids was like, hey, do 1 page of this test and then go stand out in the hallway and like walk down the hallway. And then when they came back, they're like, okay, do page 2. And they each still had 60 minutes, but this group 60 minutes was broken up after 5-minute breaks or whatever. And the other class did much better. That's the essential brain science behind it. I thought it might be worth, giving a shot.
Yeah, dude. It's funny we're talking about this too, because I forgot to bring this up last week because we were talking about like incremental time and stuff. And during college, I actually followed something very similar. I read it in a book because I was like, how can I learn? I actually looked into a book. I'm like, how can I study less and get more out of it? And that was like my whole mindset in college. And then I found this book and it was talking about that technique and it helped me so much, dude. And I wish I maintained it because of the fact that I'm at this point now and I'm like looking back, I'm like, dude, that technique worked wonders when it was like you do like 25 minutes of like straight up studying and then 15 minutes of like just looking up memes or doing what you have to do to recharge your batteries if it's walking to the next class or something like that. That helped me so much during college. So I'm glad that you brought that up because that's another reminder for me to look back into that, the Pomodoro technique and see how I can utilize that for time management.
Yeah, I might try and start incorporating that. I know I also wanted to look into the journal that I know some of our coworkers were looking into, call it the best year ever. And maybe trying to get into that because they're talking that journal up, So it's like, what I'm just curious, like, what is this thing?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to give it a shot and check it out.
Yeah, but Tommy, man, what did you do this week?
Oh man, just the usual, dude. It's nothing too exciting. Just doing my workouts, things like that. I actually did a little bit less working out this week. I guess less days, if that makes sense. Just essentially doing more on the days that I worked out, but doing less overall like days of it, if that makes sense. Yesterday, I took the entire day off just to recuperate my mind and my body. So it was a very lazy day. But what's really nice about it is I don't think of it as like something that's ruining my progress or anything because it's like the past few days I've been working my butt off and then it's like rest, let my body recuperate. Now today I feel incredible and I'm going to have like a workout session after this call sometime. And it's going to be a light one, just enjoying my time with it and breaking a sweat, getting that sweat for serotonin,
Yeah.
So, but overall it was good. Working wise, just getting everything prepped for taxes for the brand. I got to handle the taxes. So that's another beast of its own, but I'm glad that I kept track of accounting and stuff. So that's kind of organized. And overall things have been going pretty good. I've been working on the back end of the community. I don't know if we should talk about it completely just yet. I mentioned it to you before, but the one thing that I encountered with the Facebook groups is like, I started seeing people like and see posts that were like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And then also it's like problematic to not see like the chat in the community and stuff. So I was thinking about using a platform called Circle that we use for our job. And it's one of those things where it's very organized. It will notify people when there's something going on in the chats, something going on in posts. And I found that it's a very interactive community. Now, I don't know if we have to build up to that, but I don't mind signing up for a membership of that platform. I forget how much it is a month, but I think it increases over time. I don't mind paying it up front.
Mhm.
What I was considering doing was having access to all this free stuff. And then I'm also going to create like a patron side of things
Yeah.
where it's like a weekly call that we can sit down with, and then also weekly workout programs. Like once a week, there's a new workout program that you can utilize on this patron based thing. But the free community will still have access to all this stuff in addition to new content that I'm putting out there,
Mhm.
stuff that I created in the past when I was a personal trainer and stuff. And I think there might be some value in regards to exercise primarily, but there's a nutrition aspect that I'll show you guys. So what I want to do is create some access to like this course content that's very organized on this platform that you can run through, and it will educate you guys. And then also on top of that, it will provide value in that community. I want to make it a lot more active, a lot more cooperative. And it's kind of difficult if you're seeing posts 2 or 3 weeks later. And then
Yeah.
that
See,
Facebook algorithm sucks, dude.
I honestly feel like I would be more active in Circle, mainly because I'm already on Circle, like
Mhm.
for like my day job and stuff, for our job. So I'm already like monitoring Circle and I'm on it, for our community or for the work community. And I'm not on Facebook. Like I purposely avoid Facebook a lot of times because it's just, I realized a while back that it's such a mental drain for me
Mhm.
to be on Facebook, and I don't get joy from it anymore. So I'll go on there like twice a day and I'll check messages, which is why I never respond to like Facebook messages because I'm only on there like twice a day to check it. And then every time I go on there, I have like 30 notifications of like people posting or, whatever. And
Yeah.
half the time I'm just like scrolling through it like, oh, okay, it's so and so's birthday, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just I get so drained listening to people's political crap and always on there bitching about whatever, this and that and everything. And and then even the good posts, like the posts where they're like, look at me, you guys, I'm in Bali and I'm doing whatever, it's just like it drains me. So
Yeah.
I don't get on it that often. And so with that, I think Circle would be a good option for me personally. Something I was just thinking about, and we could talk about it later if you want, but that when you were mentioning Circle in the community, I know like I enjoy reading books, you enjoy reading books. Maybe we could consider doing something where it's like, hey, a weight loss book club or like a motivational book club where once a month we get together and we discuss, books like Atomic Habits, books
Mhm.
like Believe It by Jamie Lee Currently, books like the one you were talking about with the guy who rucksacks a lot.
Oh, Comfort
Um,
Crisis.
yeah, Comfort Crisis. Things like that just helps people get out of their funk a little bit. And
You know,
then
I don't mind that at all, just as long as it doesn't consume your time. Because I know
yeah.
you're already doing a couple other things, so don't want to consume your time too much. But I don't mind doing that, especially with like weight loss stuff, because there's some things that I don't know if you know, if you could see, but I have some hidden weight loss books around here that are very informative and they're very helpful. And I think that
Yeah.
sharing some of them with you guys, I think that you find some value in it. So
Okay.
I definitely like the idea.
That would be cool. And I know I I struggle with, and I think one of the biggest things that hindered my, or I guess allowed my depression to kind of grow and fester, whatever, was like my lack of like self confidence that I
Mhm.
had, and I still struggle with a lot. But maybe we can even make or throw in there a confidence builder course. Small steps. Like I know I went through a couple of them before, and they were really helpful. And they had like a 30-day course where it's like you watch one video a day, and the videos are simple things like, hey, today you just got to smile. Every person you talk to, you have to start the conversation with a smile. The next day was like, hey, every person you talk to, you have to like greet them enthusiastically. And then it was supposed to build on itself. As it goes, and I don't know, things like that to help get you at least off the couch
Mhm.
to get going, to get moving.
So I have a very hidden course that we can definitely put in Circle, and it's a 30-day lift your morning mood course.
Hmm.
And it starts as like the goal is every single day is 10 to 15 minutes of morning physical activity of the sort, whether it's walking or
Yeah.
lifting some weights and stuff. And then it builds off from there where it's like day two is eat one extra, protein or something along the lines of that. I forget the exact, I made it like last year, but I found it like it compounds and it's very helpful because it comes with like exercise, nutrition, and sleep, and it covers the well-being stuff. But I like
Hmm.
that confidence builder one. I think that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I definitely going to consider something like that too.
Like yesterday, I had a conversation with one of our mutual friends, Todd, and we were talking, uh, and we were just saying how the hardest part about dealing with depression or getting exercise or anything else is just getting off the couch, right? It's
Mhm.
it's
Yep.
so easy just to sit there and watch TV and to feel blah, like, yeah, do I want to eat? I don't have anything in the fridge I like, do I want to play a video game? None of these games interest me. And you're just stuck in that bored, depressed limbo.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing is
What's
just to
that?
say, hey, yeah, hey, let's get to the gym. Hey, let's go on a hike. Hey, let's get out of this environment. And that's the hardest part. So if you can solve for that and you can get past that, you've already got half the battle won.
That's a good point that you bring up, because I remember like my more like there are still times where I'm not down in the dumps as bad as I used to be.
Hmm.
And even then, sometimes it's hard to get motivated. I'm
Yeah.
like, you can't even imagine like if somebody's dealing with like a lot of bouts of depression or anxiety, and they're in these episodes where it's like with too much depression, you don't want to do shit. With too much anxiety, you want to stay home and just be, in your secure home. You don't want to
Hmm.
be out around people and all that stuff. And it's so tough because the solution to that is like this doing something that gets you out of that, because it's
Yeah.
such a restricted thing. And then also like with depression, anxiety, it's like a narrow negative point of view, whereas like your perspective of thought should be a lot more expansive, where it's like, yeah, there's some negatives, but then there's also positives. But when you're in depressed and anxiety states, it's like all you see are the negatives, and it's like a
Hmm.
tunnel vision. And it's very frustrating, man. I fully empathize with people going through it right now, especially because I've been there personally. When you see that negative tunnel vision, everything's going wrong. But then once you start getting out of that state and you look
Hmm.
outwards and you're able to get out of that state consistently, you think about like stuff in the past and you're like, why did I think so negatively? And it's all a
Yeah.
result of that. You're trapped in that state. That's that narrow tunnel vision, esque like look at the world. And things might be going really well, but you don't like certain
Hmm.
things. Maybe
Yeah.
you have a beautiful wife and kids, and you're dealing with all this stuff, and you have this narrow thing of just seeing all the shit. But then once you get out of that, you're like, damn, I have a beautiful family, like they're healthy and all that
Hmm.
stuff. And it's very tough to see when you're in it. But yeah, you'll hear stories of like people who unfortunately like musicians and stuff, like they take their lives and stuff. And it's like, damn, like they had people look at it and they're like, oh, they had all this and all that. Why were they unhappy and stuff? And it's like when you're in that position, that very deep position that's hard to climb out of, you only see
Hmm.
that dark perspective, and you go towards other vices as a way to comfort yourself. And then those vices can get you, or just you can't take it anymore and things like that. And it's tough to climb out of. But if we find a way to climb out of it, there's always a light at the end of it. Like
Yeah.
even though you're in that darkness, there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and we just have to find a way to climb out of that metaphorical hell,
Hmm.
that climbing out of that tunnel. And like you said, it's easier said than done. It's fairly difficult. It's different for everybody. But for us, it's like do one thing that betters you right now. And that's like you can move your body. Get
Yeah.
up, just go for a walk, go for a run, do something that makes you feel better, just a little bit better. And that whole entire
Hmm.
sweat for serotonin. Sweat it out, get that serotonin rush, tack the problems that you have throughout the day head on afterwards, and then just keep doing that and just repeating that process. And over time things get better. But it all
Hmm.
starts with that one initial momentous like momentum, and that push towards doing something better for yourself, essentially.
Yeah, dude. It's like when I don't want to say it. Depression isn't like an onset all at once, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
slow, gradual build,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts with one small thing, and then another, and before you know it, you've basically built a prison around yourself, a prison cell. The door is wide open; you can leave, but you don't want to because it's comfy, And by comfy, I mean it's like, yeah, I could go to the gym, but what's the point? You know what I mean? I have this TV here. What I could do, X, Y, and Z, but I'm upset because they said mean things to me, and so I'd rather just, sleep all day. You know what I mean? And it's very hard to get out of that because you've built this thing up around yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Something that I think complements this is I just finished the book recently, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Real good book. I recommend it. But in the book, he mentions that he mentions like the prison cell theory, and he talks about how ego is everywhere, you know, in everything essentially. So one of the stories he mentions is how you might, you know, be holding resentment or anger towards your parents or toward a relationship or a friend who did you bad or someone who you thought was your friend and they betrayed you or whatever. And you've been holding on to this for years. And at the end of the day, if you just let that go and you work hard and you buckle down and you become who you're meant to be and what you're supposed to be, they're going to look at you and be like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe I treated that guy badly, or look at what they did. And essentially it's just saying, like, take a step back, realize it's not that bad. You don't need to keep holding on to that, and let it go, and then become who it is you're supposed to become. And when I kind of realized that, or when that kind of heard that, that kind of hit me. And I was like, you know what? I am holding on to a lot of resentment from past military supervisors, or like my parents, or, you know, friends who did me like real fucking dirty. And it's like, hey, you know what? Like, they're people, they're trying to figure it out. They did something like super shitty, but they also, I'm sure, had a lot of shit going on in their life. Stop letting it affect mine. You know what I mean? Like, just let it go, blank slate. And essentially it's like, if you woke up today and you were told, hey, you've been in a coma the last, you know, 25 years, you're a Navy SEAL and you did all this, you know, this whole shit, you'd be like, oh man, I must be a fucking badass. You know what I mean? But it's like, if they told you, hey, you were a gangbanger and a murderer and all this other shit, you're like, oh man, I must be a terrible person. It's all about how you perceive yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like I might be saying it a little wrong, but I hope I'm getting the message out there.
I got it
You know?
completely. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking about, because Ryan Holiday writes a lot on ego, and I always found it interesting. There's a book that he wrote, and I thought it was very good, because it's called Conspiracy, right?
Okay.
And in this book, Conspiracy, I know a lot of people will like come at people and they're like, you're a conspiracy theorist and things like that, you know, when people believe in something, and then it, like, let's say, for example, some of them are obnoxious, but some of them actually turn out to be true. And
Yeah.
one of them in this book, it was so interesting because this guy, it's about Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is a billionaire. And there was this media company called Gawker, and Gawker went after people and just like did what social media and a lot of news reporters did back in the, or currently, where they're like, you know, clickbait headlines, they cause a lot of problems, they do all this stuff that's very destructive by you know, exposing people and stuff. So I think the whole entire context was that Peter Thiel just like was minding his own business and stuff, and then they came out with a post like ousting him for his sexual preferences, because he's a gay man. And when they came at him, he was looking at all the stuff that they were coming at people for. And Ryan Holiday was interviewing him, and that's how he made the book. At this one point, it just like snapped, and he's like, I'm going to take this media company down. He has billions of dollars. He could take down a media company. So what happens in the book was really interesting, because Peter Thiel creates this entire organization with the sole purpose of taking down Gawker. And he could do this because he's a billionaire, right? And like,
yeah.
it's this book is insane, because like he starts hiring people and stuff, and then like Ryan Holiday put really good points about conspiracies and stuff like that, because like he was like, what happens with these conspiracies and stuff, especially when someone's latched onto that, like it's something so simple that it was latched onto, that he could have just easily said, you know, it's a media company, screw them, but he just got so, he was like, I'm just going to take them down. And like, no matter how long it took and how much money they spent and all the resources that they spent, like this guy was just so caught up on that. And, you know, to me, that's what I was thinking about when you were saying it. But in the end of it, I don't know if you remember that whole entire thing with Hulk Hogan a few years back, where he got exposed for saying a lot of bad stuff. And then
I vaguely remember that.
Okay. So what happens like towards the end of the book is basically Hulk Hogan's court case took down Gawker completely, and they just put the business, like the news media company, out of business, because Hulk Hogan wanted to go to court because they were slandering him, and they released a tape that
like
was
a sex tape or something.
Yeah, they released that tape, and then he basically came at them, and Gawker was like, "Oh, we're just gonna make him run by his bills. He has no money. We're just gonna keep, you know, doing this court thing where it's like a circular thing. And then what happened
Mhm.
was they're like, wait a second, how is he getting all this money? And then the CEO Gawker kind of found out like there's somebody like
Funding
funding
it.
him, right? And then in the end of it, they take down that entire media company. And like it's kind of crazy how you can do that. But then also, like they were saying about conspiracies and stuff, it's like the conspiracy only lasts if everyone keeps it quiet. And it's so hard for everyone to keep it quiet. So
Yeah.
then it just started to get rocky. And then they found out that it was Peter Thiel that decided to do that. And just like, holy shit, what the hell? And it's like it's crazy. It's crazy how that stuff can happen. But it all started with that, where it's that one thing that he was just so focused on. And he's like, I didn't like what they said about me, so I'm gonna get after him, and I have all the resources to do so. And even though that's a financial perspective of things, a lot of us do that, where it's like someone said something wrong to us at this moment in time years
Mhm.
ago, and we're just so caught up on that. And then we just so happen, like it could be something like you talk to them years later about it, and they're just like, I don't remember what you're talking about. And you're
Yeah.
like, so you are so held on to that, and you're just
Mhm.
like, dude, fuck this guy, like I can't believe. And they don't even remember the context of the entire situation. They just said something and they just completely forgot about it, but it
Yeah.
impacted you so much so that you got resentful of them. I've had that a couple times in my life, and I kind of realized too, it's like one of the things that was holding me back was that fear of judgment, like we said before. And I
Mhm.
was taking like step back and analyzing all that, and a lot of it came from my childhood of people picking on me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the thing was, we're all kids. Like kids were
Mhm.
doing that stuff to feel better so they don't get attacked, right?
Yeah.
And now they're like in their 30s, they got stuff to worry about. They have to pay bills, they have to take care of their kids and all that stuff. And now I think about it, I'm like, we were all kids. Like
Yeah.
I can't be resentful of them for picking on me for being overweight when I was a kid. You know,
Yeah.
like so much has changed, and they come to me now for weight loss stuff, and I don't hold it against them. I have nothing to hold against them for that, because
Mhm.
like I said, we were kids. Like that was a completely different time. That was like almost 2 decades now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
So
it's like Ryan Holiday says, you never really win with vengeance or anger. You only ever win with love. Meaning, hey, if you could very easily say, hey, no, you were a dick to me in high school or middle school, so I ain't helping you at all. And that's not going to get you anywhere. You know what I mean? It's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to make them feel better. But with you saying, hey, yes, let me help you with weight loss. Let me help you with supplements. Let me help you with blah blah blah. It's opening up that door. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like I have two perfect examples of this. So or I guess maybe three. So there's been like three times, or I guess four times in my life where I've had something happen where I've just been like, what? You know? The first one was in like 2012. I was military. I was living with my best friend, who was also my supervisor on paper in the military. We were best friends before he became my supervisor. We were living together in Vegas, working together, so we drove to work together. We did everything together. And we've been friends now for like 3 or 4 years. Saw, talked to, did everything together. Well, it came time for me to PCS. And basically, we had made an agreement prior saying, hey, on my last month, I'm just going to pay for the last 2 weeks. That's all I'm going to be there for instead of the full month. Well, long story short, when I went to pay him for the 2 weeks, saying, hey, like, here's my last, check for this amount in 2 weeks, he was like, I need the full month and blah, blah, and made a big deal about it. And it's like, if we would have had a conversation, I would have paid him the full month. No problem.
Mhm.
But I was like, hey, man, we agreed for on 2 weeks. And he's like, then get the fuck out of the house. And he just like blew something up for no reason. So I was like, fine, fuck it, I'm gonna get out of the house.
Mhm.
So I left and I crashed on my buddy's couch for like 2 weeks, and then I left. Well, that was like the argument that ended our relationship. Fast forward a few years, I was applying for like a top secret clearance job, and I needed his old address as part of where I lived in the past. And I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, hope you're all doing well, blah 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 blah. Hey, do you recall what your address was in Vegas? Because I need it for my TS clearance and this and that. And like, he read the message and then he blocked me.
We interrupt the podcast real quick to just let you guys know we created the Mood Lifters community to essentially help you guys on your exercise for mental health journey. In it, you get access to free course content, our ebooks, and a variety of other workout programs and such. If you're interested, head on over to our show notes below, or you can go to reforge.circle.so. Again, show notes below or reforge.circle.so. And with that, let's get back into it.
And I was like, dude, I was like, come on, seriously. But I was like, at this point, it'd been over a decade. And I
Yeah.
was like, what, I was like, whatever, you can't fix some people. So that was the first time. And it's like, if I realized that if I ever saw him again, I wouldn't hold any resentment toward him. I get it. He was in a financial strife at the time. He was under a lot of pressure, just got a divorce. It was a bunch of shit. He didn't handle it well. He didn't handle me reaching out to him well, but I'm not going to force him to like me. I'm not going to force him to be my friend. The other time was very similar. I just moved to Hawaii. I was living with another one of my best friends. We've been best friends for 3 or 4 years. I started living with him just so I could get on my feet. He was recently divorced. He had 4 or 5 kids. I'm basically raising these kids. I'm taking them to school. I'm bringing them home from school, cleaning the house, cooking their lunches, on top of working a full-time job, and trying to, do all that stuff. And it was a lot. So after 5 months of this, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to move out. I got to find my own place, blah, blah. And I gave him like a month notice. And then like as soon as I moved out and I was no longer like that in-house nanny, like dude just fucking blocked and ghosted me. I reached out to him a couple times over the years, and then same thing, just never responded, ghosted. And I was like, what the hell? And again, I don't really know why that friendship ended. That was just the thing. The third time was I had a supervisor while I was living in Germany, while I was stationed over there. He was one of the best supervisors I ever had. Like I really thought I could trust him. Long story short, he betrayed my trust. He spread a bunch of rumors about me, like really made me feel like a piece of shit, kind of really contributed to my depression and getting out of the military. And then I haven't talked to him since. And so it's like all these instances, and I was listening to Ryan Holiday's book, and it made me just kind of realize that I doesn't really matter. Going through what I went through helped make me who I am, and it'll help make me to where I'm going. But I can't let them hold me back just because they said some mean things to me, because they hurt my feelings. And I was like, does it still hurt? Does it still sting a little bit? Yeah, sure. Because it's like, what did I do to deserve that level of treatment? But at the same time, it's like, you can't not go through life and expect, not to have some of these experiences. You know what I mean? And it's like everyone in their own mind is doing the right thing. We're all the good guys. Nobody's the bad guys. It's just sometimes when you're doing the right thing for you, there's collateral damage, and you don't necessarily realize that.
God, that's real, dude. That's some wisdom, Chris.
Yeah, dropping
Thanks
it
for
here on the
sharing,
mood
man.
lifters. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
No.
for sharing, dude. That's some real shit, dude. I was gonna say one more thing about this. Marcus Aurelius said, it was like, somebody despises me. That's their problem. What I need to do is do not do or say anything despicable. Someone hates me. That's their problem. For myself, I need to be patient and cheerful with everyone, including them. He basically says in this passage of it, where it's like, if they make a mistake, I will show them they made a mistake, but not spitefully, but in an honest way. And if they don't like that, that's their problem. I'm just going to be patient with them. I'm going to be, I'm going to be indifferent towards some of the things they'll do or say, because it's all different. Some people, based on emotional things, they'll get anger. We're prone to being compulsive to certain things. We have our vices and stuff like that, and a lot of it impacts it. We just need to understand that whatever they're going through, we go through a different iteration, and we just have to be the best us that we possibly can.
Yeah. No, dude, that makes so much sense. And like, being the best version of you. Let me tell you about my week. So my week was pretty standard week. I tried to eat healthier. I did good at times. I didn't do good at other times. I didn't go to the gym at all this week, mainly because I was letting my shoulder recover, because I messed it up last week at the gym. And so by about Thursday, it like I recovered enough where I was like, yeah, it doesn't constantly hurt. Like I'm okay. And Saturday, I decided to go on a hike, but I was like, you know what? Friday night, I was feeling real depressed. Like, it just kind of got to me. I did my day's work, and then I was like, I don't want to do anything. Like video games didn't feel appealing. TV shows didn't feel appealing. I was like, I just want to go to bed and sleep, but it's 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. So, it was like, it's too early for that. So it was just a crappy night, right? Well, Saturday, I said, hey, I'm going to go for a hike. I'm going to get outdoors and we're definitely going to make this happen no matter what. I was like, I don't care if it's snowing outside, we're going. So I woke up, I slept in, I woke up, I went out to eat for breakfast to get out of the house and have something in my stomach. And then my sister didn't want to go hiking with me. And I was like, well, okay, it's fine. But she later did. Well, we went on one of her favorite hikes and it was a really cool hike. It was we hiked about 4 miles. And it was just during the hike, we didn't talk about anything really other than her depression and her work life and how she's stressed out and everything. But it was just nice to be, hey, I'm outside and I'm in nature and I'm in my peace. I'm in my zone. And that's what I don't know. I just made me feel really good, helped me really snap out of that depression.
Mhm.
And I understand hiking is not for everyone. For some people, it might be the gym. Some people it might just be going shopping, just to get out of the house or go out to eat. Whatever it is you got to do, you got to get out there just to snap out of that depression, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need to do that little action that kind of flips it around. Even if it's
Mhm.
like it makes it slightly better, you might still be clouded with that, depressive or anxious thoughts. But if it gets less cloudy as a result of it,
Yeah.
think about that constantly. You're not going to have you guys know when you're dealing with depression, anxiety, the intensities are different all the time. There's some where it's like you're super depressed state. It's so hard to get out of bed. But if you could find an action where you can get out of bed and do some sort of activity, whether it's running or hiking or lifting weights, maybe it gets a lot less cloudier, and then you feel
Yeah.
slightly better, and that's okay. You did some activity. You should reward yourself for that, because it's so hard to climb out of your bed when you're in that super depressed state, or climb out of the house in general, from the couch to go into the gym and stuff. It can be very difficult sometimes, but if you're able to do that, you need to congratulate yourself on doing that, because that's pretty
Yeah.
difficult, like you were
No,
saying.
yeah, for sure. And look, I mean, like depression gets all of us. I remember being in the military. I was a cop, so I would arm up for work in the morning, and we were working 12-hour shifts, but it was like a 16-hour day because you had to show up early, you had to stay late due to like you made an arrest at like the 11th hour, kind of thing. And so you still have to process all the paperwork, you have to do everything. So it consumed your entire life, right? And I was talking with one of my therapists about this, and she was like, look, in the military, your job was your life, right? Even on your days off, your job was your life, because you still had to be on call. You still had to like maintain that response time. You still had to, you couldn't leave a 4-hour area. You know what I mean? Like your job was your life. And so it made sense to where you have all these overwhelming tasks that need to get done, and your life takes a back seat to it, right? Because you're just work, 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 work. But now that you're not in the military anymore, your job is not your focus. Your life is your focus. So do things that enhance your life. Jobs will come and go, people will come and go, but you got to do what's going to be best for you. And that got me thinking about, when I was in the military, and like I said, the depression hit me the hardest. I would arm up in the morning. I would be on patrol, so riding around in the police car by myself. And there are times, man, where you just like I'd reach back, put my hand on my gun, and I would just think, what I mean? Like it'd be so easy just to
Mhm.
pull it out and just finish it all off. There's a couple times where it got damn close to it, but after I got through all that, and after the building I've done, and even now, that I've gotten away from the military for a few years, and I'm finally building up my own life and living for me. Like it's so much better. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
so much better now that I'm out of that situation and that I've gone through it. So people say it gets better, and it totally does. And I also, this might be a controversial point here. People say like, I'll never understand why someone commits suicide, or it's the most selfish thing you could do. And I was like, I get it. Honestly,
Mhm.
I get it. I've been there, and I understand why people do it. I understand the need to do it or the want to do it. And honestly, it's like I don't think it's super selfish, because in that moment you think that's the only way out. That's
Mhm.
the only thing you can do to relieve this pain and suffering that just seems to be overwhelming you. But if you just stop, take a step back, and just look at it from like a bird's eye view situation, you'll realize that it might not be that bad. And if you can just do whatever it is you got to do, cut ties, cut off family, cut off relationships, move out on your own. It's going to suck, and you're going to have to grind. You're going to have to work hard for a few months. But once you get out of it, dude, it's so much better and so much easier. Like there's not a single thing I realize now that I can't do, now that I'm out of that situation.
Mhm.
It's like I was thinking about like going back to war, and part of me misses war, it misses combat, and I think, hey, let's sign up for one of these contractor companies, get back in shape, and go fight in some foreign war. And it's like at that point, I don't know how I want to say this. When I deployed to Iraq, they told us that do not get taken alive, do not become a POW because you're gonna get dragged through the street, you're gonna be tortured, you're gonna be killed, you're gonna be blah blah blah. So at that point, if it's like you're gonna get captured and that's it, end it. Okay, I understand that. But outside of maybe like that, that's it. Don't do it, And and so I realized like why would I even want to be in that situation anymore?
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I realized that if I lost my job today, I got a phone call and they said, hey, you're fired. My parents called me. They said, we never want to see you again. And I lost every significant relationship I ever had. I would still be okay. I would still be able to build my life back up and I'd be able just to strive out on my own and do my own thing. And I would be fine. It would be hard. It would suck, but it would be okay. You know?
Dude, this is gonna be like the most iconic video ever, bro. Because I'm sitting here, I'm like, Chris is saying a lot of stuff that we should have talked about in the past more often. I mentioned it once before, where it's like, especially when you're having those type of thoughts. I get it too because I've had those thoughts before, even though mine were like rushing in my teenage years, where like all the hormones are racing and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But like, I get it. I get that perspective. But like you said, the bird's eye view, there is something to push forward with, and sometimes we just need to discover it. And
Yeah.
once we discover it, that's when the beautiful stuff happens. And that's that whole thing. Like I've been like, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try to discover what I'm here for. Why am I living? Like, what's my purpose here?
hmm
And I kind of found it in, I don't know. So I'm still trying to figure out where I found it from. I don't know if it's like the fitness side of things. I don't know if it's the
hmm
entrepreneurial side of things, but it's one of those too, because I feel like there's some purpose behind what we're doing here, especially in the community and building, this brand and stuff. This is like my thing, dude. And I find
Yeah.
happiness in this and I find excitement in it because we're just helping people out. And it gives me this limitless energy to work towards this, where
Yeah.
it's like the shit can hit the fan, like everything could go to shit. And I'm like, I'm still doing this, And I think essentially if we keep, pushing forward and trying to find that, we'll
hmm
eventually find it. We just need to actively pursue it. We can't get, it's so easy to get, held down by our jobs and our family and our
hmm
cultures and our things like that. But if you could find that thing where you can go in this certain direction that makes you happy, and you could find a way to, let's say, for example, make it a career path, or
Yeah.
make it like some sort of hobby that, even with the job that you don't like 100%, you can go in this area and you have this limitless energy towards something and it's worth it.
hmm
Everything that you're doing is worth it because of this specific thing. It could be raising kids. It could be, it's different for everybody, but if you could find that, man, that's where amazing things happen, man.
Yeah. And honestly, dude, it's like people who say like or who think that hey, you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s, you have your life figured out. You definitely shouldn't. You know what I mean? I know there are like these, I don't know, entrepreneur grind type videos you watch, and they're like, all you need to do in your 20s is just buckle down and grind, don't party, don't live, what I mean, blah blah blah, and then explain your 30s, and it's just like, all right, well, fuck, man. But the way I view it, and this is a true belief of mine, is we have like 4 or 5 lives that we live throughout our entire life, and they're in like 20 to like 30-year segments. And it's like your first 20 years is like your first life, and that's you basically going to school, high school, trying to figure out how to live, kind of thing. And then it's like, okay, that's 1 to 20, that's your first life. 20 to 40 is your second life where you're just trying to figure out who you are, maybe start a family, do whatever you want to do. Then it's like 40 to 60 is your third life, 60 to 80 is your next life, 80 to 100, and so on. And the way I viewed it was when I was in 6th grade, Twin Towers went down 2001, and I knew right then I wanted to join the military and I wanted to be a cop because I wanted to help people and I wanted to serve my country, etc. Well, I held on to that all through high school. I joined the military, and then after doing the military for like 7 years, at this point I had my degree. I had 2 degrees. I've done 3 tours, and I've done all this other stuff. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want this to be my life anymore. So I was like, oh, let's change paths. So that I'm 27, 28. And then I changed paths and I went to work for the government to be a background investigator. And I was like, I can work for the government as a contractor, get a pension, do whatever. I did that for 3 or 4 years. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore either. So I quit that. Now we're in the business world. And it's like, okay, hey, look, I want to do business. And I sat down on that hike that I took on Saturday. And I was like, look, what is it I want to do with the rest of my life? And I was like, I want to motivate people. I want to help people, and I want to see the world. And I was like, let's just do that then. Let's spend all of our time hiking, traveling, and exploring, helping people do that same thing and maybe get out of their depression. And at the same time, serving them as far as being like, hey, you can do this too. Come join me. Let's go. And let's just spend my life traveling the rainforest, traveling to Antarctica, seeing the wildlife, helping preserve the planet. I'd be okay with that. And you know what? And if 10 years, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm like, hey, I traveled for the last 10 years. Now I want to be a stay-at-home dad, or now I want to go work in the finance district, then go pursue that. There are literally no rules to this life. You know what I mean? Don't go murdering anyone. We're not giving you a free pass for murder or anything. But at the same time, there's no rules. People who are like, you have to do A, B, and C to get to D. Screw it. If you can skip B and C and go from A to D, do it. There's no rules here. Go live and enjoy your life. You know?
Beautifully said, dude.
You got me
we
ranting.
We had an agenda, but this
Yeah.
thing was so, you just brought the heat today.
Yeah,
bro.
I'm sorry. I brought it. I'm upset Grant's not here, and I already told him, said I'm going to miss his
The
stupid
emotions
face.
are running high. And you're like, damn it, Grant. I'm about to make the hardest episode of the Mood Lifters. Just yet. This is I think it's like episode 45, and this is the hardest episode ever. But
Yeah.
I was going to add to that because, like, when you're talking about it, like, we hear about entrepreneurs, we hear about Gary Vaynerchuk, for example. And one thing Gary says that I like a lot is, like, he's like, I love what I'm doing right now, but if it just so happens I decide, you know what, this flipping stuff, how he does the flipping and all that stuff, he's like, that's the only thing for me. He's like, I can easily just say, you know what, guys, like, I'm going to give somebody else my position and I'm out. And I'm like, I respect that because, it just depends on where your energy is going. You're in this phase of life that the things that you're doing right now don't excite you, but you've accumulated, especially if you go through college and stuff, you're going to get some sort of good amount of money for you to be like, you know what, I no longer find this big finance job making me happy anymore. I want to start my own thing. And this is where you see a lot of entrepreneurs that are in there, in the entrepreneurial group that we're in, where they're like in their 30s and 40s. And they're like, I have kids now, I have this other job, but I'm trying to create this thing so I don't have to work this thing anymore, because this thing it's cool and all, but this is what I want to do, and that comes with time, and that comes through phases. And I say, like, you're doing like you're up to 20 and then 20 to 40. I feel like there's a phase in that 20 to 30 range, especially for, the young 20-someths, where it's kind of like you're in automatic mode where your parents are taking you to school, you're just getting an education and stuff. And I feel like the most of my brain power, like, I feel like I was activated in my 20s, whereas, like, now things are for me, like, I'm doing things for myself. And this is where my developmental phase is coming through. This is where I develop. And I felt like I found the most growth in my 20s to 30s. I mean, even now, going, 30 now, I wonder where I'm going to be in my 30s to 40s if I keep pursuing this path of just taking where the energy goes, working on self-improvement, working on bettering myself, building up this community and things like that. I wonder where we will be in a matter of years, dude. And just, if I keep this upwards momentum, a lot of things will change. And that's one thing we should mention too, is, like, if you're in a bad place right now, you're in the phase of growth. Like, you have a phase of opportunity for you to better yourself and really get out of that, because don't think that you're going to be trapped in there forever. That's only a temporary thing. Find ways to get out of that. And you might struggle a lot along the way, but there's that light. Like I've said, there's always that light. You just got to keep pursuing that light. And when you find that, even if it's like a flicker, for me, it was as crazy as it sounds. And I mentioned this to you guys all the time. It's like, my thing was exercise for mental health. Like, that was my pursuit. Just that little thing of me just moving my body allowed it to expand into personal development readings, going through my jobs, getting promoted a couple times for previous jobs, getting this job opportunity now, building this community. It all starts with this little initial, flicker, as small as it is. If it's something that makes you happy and improves your well-being, grasp onto that, Because like I'll hear all the time, it's like sometimes I'll post stuff and I'll get pushback on social media where it's like that's not gonna, it's not gonna help you completely with your mental health. I'm like, I'm not saying it's the cure, but it's like the initial spark on your mental health journey to get you better. And if you could
Mhm.
just focus on that, I'm improving my physical health. It's gonna also ooze into my mental health. There's research that supports all of this. Do it.
Mhm.
Get after it. It's that one thing. Just start with that right now and then branch
Yeah.
out from there.
No, and I agree, man. And to kind of complement that, I know I was, again, this coming from the, I don't know if it was from Ryan Holiday's book or not, but I heard it somewhere recently, and they were saying basically stop trying to be a part of everyone else's club if they won't let you be a part of the club, and just go make your own. And what that was referring to was in your friendship group, in your work, if you want a promotion and your bosses or whatever is not recognizing you, and they're not giving you that promotion, or they're not giving you that like recognition or the awards you feel like you deserve, then start your own club, right? Go create what it is that you want, and people will flock to it. And same thing with your friendship group. It's like if your friends are kind of crappy and they're kind of like not as great friends, stop hanging out with them. Go find better friends and go be the friend that you feel like you know deserve and that you want. And at the same time, they were also saying play for the name on the front of the jersey, and then everyone will remember the name on the back of the jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And that was referring to the ego, as far as people saying, hey, I'm playing for me. I want my name to be remembered. I want my name to be, you know, up there, and I want a recognition. I want attention. But it's just like if you play for the name on the front of the jersey, whatever that is, in sports, that might be your sports team. At work, that might be your company. You know, it might be what, you know, your friend group. Be like, hey, let's play for the friends. Let's make everyone else look good. Let's compliment everyone else. Let's serve actual people, and don't do it for personal glory. Don't do it for awards. Don't do it for recognition. All of that's going to come, you know, because everyone will remember the name on the back of the jersey. You know what I mean?
That's real too. And you know, when you say that, I come to think of times where that my prior sales job at the rental car agency, there was this phase where it was like the best 4 months of my life in that
Mm-hmm.
company because we had a team of killers. We had this common thing that we wanted to focus on, and we just went after it. And we became like, we were the top performing location in Southern California. We had employees that were top performers in sales, all that stuff, because all of us were focusing on that primarily. We had a
Mm-hmm.
great leader. She did a damn good job of what she does. Excited, high energy, very passionate. What she would do is teach the employees how to do this autonomously to us, for us to perform our best. And it just kept trickling down. And when we got the new people coming in, we were hyping them up. We're getting them like, and this team was just unstoppable because we're just united on let's be the best performers in Southern California. And at first
Yeah.
we didn't think it was possible because the location that we had like a 60% customer satisfaction rate. And it was like that for years. And then we got it
Mm-hmm.
up to 80 and 90%. And when you could do that, that's when you're like, dude, this energy is like limitless for this. Like we can absolutely crush this. You guys will find those kind of periods of your life where you're focusing on this specific cause, and you have a bunch of your boys or bunch of buddies that come with you. Those are the people you need to be around. Those are the people
Yeah.
that you want to be around, those winners, and keep it going. Like if it's a workspace thing and you got killers in the workspace, go out with them from time to time, you know, have nice dinner with them, you know, have a
Mm-hmm.
good time, go play some sports with them so that you see them in a multifaceted approach. And since you're basically focusing on this, it's improving the well-being of not just you, but your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
This all is under a common cause. You're going to find a lot of happiness in that because you're going to see that the well-being of everyone around you is like uplifted.
Yeah.
And when you find that, yeah, grasp for it, get after it.
Yeah. Definitely, man. And to do that and to be successful, you can't be the best in your group. You know what I mean? You need to surround yourself with people who are better than you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the analogy behind that I remember was like if you're running a race and you can run a mile in, we'll say, I don't know, 10 minutes, whatever, right? And you're the fastest among your friends because they can only run it in 15 minutes. Then you need to find a group of friends who can run it in 8 minutes or 6 minutes. And then therefore, you know, you may be the slowest, you might be way behind the curve, but at the same time, they're going to push you to get faster, and your 10-minute mile is going to drop down to an 8, then down to a 6, you know. And that's everything: finance, friendships, business, you know, the mood lifters,
And mood
everything.
lifters, exactly. You guys come in here, I got some fitness knowledge, but I hope I get some people coming in here with a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
I could be the dumbest person in the room and I can learn and absorb information. You know, we all start somewhere. So if you're on this journey, you're just getting started now, let's throw yourself in the fire. Let's push you in the right direction. Let's win.
Yeah. Well, I know we're almost out of time, but I know today we're going to talk about nutrition. So eat carrots, eat some veggies, you guys. You know, we still hit our topic. Way to go. High five.
I was like, we're going to focus this topic of discussion around an article or two articles that I saw, but we had a fire conversation. But I will show you this briefly, and I'll just mention this, guys.
We had a whole conversation about this too, about like, hey, this is
what we're planning.
Topic. Yeah.
All right, so let me show you this funny tweet. So it's the current state of nutrition education. 1 egg a day lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes. Okay. Look at that. Yeah. Eating just 1 egg a day increases your risk of diabetes by 60%. What the hell do I do? What am I supposed to do with this information?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff about, nutrition and stuff in the fitness industry is exactly like that. When I first started, I was getting all this information on bodybuilding.com, blog posts, and every single one had a different thing where it was like the opposite, and it was getting me mad. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And like, I would go in the forums and I would look at I would ask my specific question: is doing more sets than 3 sets per exercise? This is the one I remember the most, but doing more than 3 sets per exercise overtraining. And everyone in the forum was like, yes, it is. You can't be doing that. And I found that there's certain times that I would go up above that and then bring it back down, and I would see progress from that. And I'm like, what are these guys talking about? And you come to realize everyone's body is different, right? Everyone is so different. But there are some foundational principles that you can focus on. And that's what we talk about with the mood lifters. It's like, you start moving your body, physical exercise, you're going to get benefits of it physically and mentally. And over time, you're going to find a specific sport or a specific style of exercise that you're going to gravitate towards, whether it's like CrossFit, bodybuilding, powerlifting, martial arts, anything like that. Hiking, perfect example. You're going to find something that you gravitate towards. Go on that. And then learn more about how you can basically have a proper diet based off of training for hiking, or based on, training for powerlifting, stuff like that. And you'll learn from that perspective. But then also understand that everyone's going to come from a different perspective too, especially with their goals, especially with their genetics, especially with culture and stuff. And it could get complicated, but if you focus on getting your protein in, eating your fruits and vegetables, getting your fiber in, eating complex carbs, eating your omega-3 fatty acids, the unsaturated fats that help with your brain health and things like that. If you just focus on those little things and you just add to it over time, you're going to see the results. And a lot of what we'll be doing, especially with this community that I'm building out, is we'll focus on some foundational stuff, like the nutrition and then the exercise. And then we'll have some specifics depending on what your goals are to help you with that. For example, weightlifting. I have some experience in weightlifting from various types of things, like building muscle, building strength, building speed, sports performance, all that stuff. That's all different. But let's say, for example, you want to do obstacle course racing. I can probably get my buddy Justin in the community as well to talk about obstacle course racing. And then he could promote his stuff if you guys want to join his little classes and stuff, all that stuff. We can definitely do that, just so this community has everything that we want to focus on to improve our mood and well-being, to help lose weight and all that stuff. Those are those primary focuses. And if we can keep the foundational stuff and then build off of that, I think you guys are going to win. I think you guys are going to crush.
Yeah, dude.
And then one more thing I wanted to show you guys for these memes is the one I made. Is this the current state of nutrition? Always has been.
They spelled
always been like this.
They spelled percent wrong in that article title.
Oh, they did? I didn't look at it.
It's like, come on, guys. Come on. I don't know who posted that, but
yeah. Whatever, these foolish posters. I'd never look at news articles for that reason, because it's you'll see all these controversial things and people get mad. They're like, drinking wine burns as much calories as running? Count me in. And they become an alcohol. So it's don't listen to those type of things. If you guys have any questions in the community, hey, I read this article, what do you think about this? Post it, bro. I will tell you what I think about it.
Yeah.
And I'll find stuff that are I'll find studies or whatever you need to see that show you it's okay to eat an egg. It's okay to eat this in moderation. It all depends on where you're at, with your health condition, if there's any underlying conditions that you have, any diseases, it's all different for everybody. But when you find what, you're going to find what works best for you. And once you find that, the good stuff happens. So,
yeah.
All righty. So this is an awesome episode, man.
Time flew by today.
Really enjoyed it. It was fire.
You're fire.
Oh, thanks. Chris, I'm going to ask you, since Grant is not here, I want you to take it away.
Well, we here at the Mood Lifters just have one question for you. Have you lifted your mood today?
Better lift that mood. I know it's Sunday. Got to go out there and get it, guys.
Yeah, have a great week, guys.
Yeah. I want to thank you all for watching this. I hope this helped a lot. Chris brought the heat, and I was fired up because of that. So
I was
now
fired up too.
My pre-workout's in right now. This is my pre-workout essentially, and I'm going to go lift. But guys, thanks for watching. And then I'll let you guys know about the community and stuff. I'll send out posts, emails, I'll just blast it on social media. And if it happens, it's going to be something good, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Take care, guys.
I want to thank you guys for watching this week's episode of the Mood Lifters. Like, subscribe, share, get this out there to anyone that needs help on their exercise for mental health journey. As you guys know, we're focusing on building the community at reforge.circle.so, which you can join in the description below. And if you guys are interested in trying our pre-workout sleep supplement, they're crafted specifically to help you guys on your journey. Straight to the point, no BS, no filler. Just take one scoop and that's all you need. If you guys are interested in trying our supplements, head on over to amazon.com/reforged or check the show notes below. And with that, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.